These cars are the entry points to two of the most desirable automotive badges available, Audi's RS and BMW's M. But despite being the babies of their respective ranges, they offer very grown-up driving experiences, and I think they represent two of the most appealing cars on sale today. But which is better? Let's start with some quick, objective comparisons, because these cars are surprisingly well matched. Both cost around £46,000 in the UK and $55,000 in the US. Curiously, the BMW is the slightly more expensive car in the UK, while the Audi is the dearer car in the States. There is only one gearbox choice in the RS3, but we've picked the manual option for the M2, as the DCT box adds another chunk to the price. Power. The Audi wins this comparison with 394 brake horsepower outgunning the BMW's 365. However, the order is reversed when we look at the torque figures, with the M2's 369 pounds-foot besting the RS3's 354. The Audi also weighs 20 kilos more than the BMW, tipping the scales at 1,515 kilos, although that's hardly surprising given the extra doors and drive shafts. With the specs so close, you might assume that the performance figures would be evenly matched as well. However, the Audi's all-wheel drive really pays dividends in a standing start. BMW claims a 0 to 62 mph time of 4.5 seconds, while Audi has the RS3 reaching the same speed in just 4.1 seconds. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if the gap was wider still in reality. The Audi is obviously slightly more practical, but the interior of the BMW feels better quality. Now onto a couple more subjective areas. Sound. Both are easy on the ears, but for me the Audi's warbly 5-cylinder is more interesting and more vocal than the BMW's straight 6. However, in terms of looks, it's the design department in Munich that beats the one up the road in Ingolstadt. While the Audi's lines look pretty good in isolation, it appears pretty ordinary when parked next to the pumped up arches and aggressive stance of the BMW. So far, so even. Perhaps they'll be easier to split in terms of driving dynamics.
First up, the M2. As soon as you get into this car, you've got that, I suppose, sort of almost distinctive M car feel. So it feels taut and up for it. It's busy. It's actually quite intimidating almost, because the bumps tend to make you feel very alert. Part of that's, I think, because it's possibly just a smidgen too firmly sprung, possibly to cope with travel that's just a touch too short. The other thing is that the steering in this is very quick. I'd almost like to just calm it down a bit, because when you're going down a road and you're just trying to drive smoothly, it's quite a difficult car to really get into a flow with. I do love the overwhelming sense of purpose that you get with this car though. I also absolutely adore having a manual gearbox. 3 pedals, for me it just works, because not only when you're going quickly, but just every day it means you engage with the engine, even pulling away from a junction or sitting in traffic. I know you have to exercise your left leg a bit more, but you know, don't be lazy, do you? You get that interaction with the engine, with the car, whatever you're doing, not just when you're driving quickly, and I really enjoy that. This has got rev matching on it, which, if you want to be lazy, to be honest, that is quite nice. You don't have to bother with heeling towing if you can't be bothered. Might not have quite the voice of the old naturally aspirated straight 6s, but this turbocharged engine does actually sound better than I remember. It's got some proper grunts as well. Where the M2 really comes alive is when you actually get stuck into the chassis. It's not a car that's going to, allow you to creep up to its limits timidly. You have to really want to get involved with this. You've got to accept that it's going to try and oversteer, accept that you're going to have to roll up your sleeves and be part of the action. But if you're the sort of driver that likes that, then it does reward. With this chassis you can still get stuck in, which is nice. It is a properly punchy little car, this. It's not perfect, but it is good fun. South Wales really is looking absolutely stunning today. On point, as I believe the expression is.
There is no doubt that this is a proper M car, with just as much aggression as its bigger brother, the M4. The suspension on this mildly updated version does feel slightly better than the early cars, better controlled with a little less pogoing over bumps, but there's always an underlying energy and alertness to the M2, like it's decided one coffee just isn't enough. So, how does the RS3 feel in comparison?
The first thing that you notice when you get into the Audi is that, well, this seat feels a bit flatter, the whole car feels a bit thinner somehow. However, going down the road, it also feels lighter, which is strange given that this actually has the higher curb weight. Getting into corners doesn't feel as pointy, it's just a little bit calmer, but it's easier to get it through the bends. It seems to breathe with the road a bit more, have a bit more pliancy, a bit more balance too after the pointy BMW. Better suspended fast Audi. Who'd have thought it? The latest generation of this 5-cylinder engine really is a lovely thing to use. If only these paddles were a little better. I know I've mentioned them before, so I won't dwell on it, but they really shouldn't be so plasticky. It just sounds so good though. Should be on a rally stage or something. The size and look of this car, the way you can place it down the road, it reminds me an awful lot in fact of the old B7 RS4 saloon. It's just the right amount of pace from really picking apart a road. I even think this RS3 saloon is probably slightly nicer to drive than the Sportback version. What it can't quite do though is live up to the M2 when you push it really hard. It has a limit and it just doesn't want to be pushed beyond that. In terms of throttle adjustability, it's fine through sort of quicker corners, but even out of the tighter ones you can just get it sliding perhaps a little bit, but it's not throttle adjustable. That's just a case of full throttle and letting the Quattro do its business. For those people that really like to get stuck into a chassis and feel that they're imposing their will on it a bit more, that's where the RS3 just can't quite live up to the BMW.
Despite an ultimate lack of adjustability in the chassis, it remains a very neutrally balanced car, and there are plenty of occasions, most notably when it's wet, when I think the Audi would be the palpably faster car down a road. Certainly it requires less effort to cover ground quickly, and that engine, well, it's enjoyable at any speed. I really like both these cars. They're engaging and entertaining, not just out in the wilds of Wales, but also on the sort of more mundane journeys where they will spend most of their time. And as vehicles get ever bigger, these feel like they're of a size and stature that still works on the UK's often rather narrow roads. The performance too, far from feeling entry level, is actually in many ways all that you need.
So which car wins? Both are hugely desirable. Neither one is absolutely perfect. They're very evenly matched at the end of the day. You could choose lots of reasons for picking either one, and it would be very valid indeed. So do we need to pick a winner? Can we not be grown up about this? Could it not be a draw? Well, no, I suppose it can't, because you want to know a winner, don't you? There has to be a winner. It's the M2. Was it ever in any doubt?